Okay. I'm also just gonna pull it up on my, like, the other side so I can see what this looks like. See. Okay. I can't see anything. I just want to see what this looks like. Okay. Perfect. So, hi everyone. We are just about to get started. We are so excited for everybody to join. And obviously, we just started the live, so we're just waiting for more people to join. When should we start, Lasia? In a couple minutes? Or
Yeah, maybe let's wait until 103, 105, and then we can get started.
yeah, for sure.
Hi everyone, welcome in. We're just gonna be waiting a few more minutes just to wait for everyone to roll in. We're so excited to start GirlCon 2026. So yeah, we'll just be waiting a few more minutes.
Okay, I think we will get started. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dia Pendarkar, and I'm one of the co-directors this year for GirlCon 2026. I'm going to be an incoming freshman at Purdue University studying biological engineering on the pre-med track. So, GirlCon started back in 2018 as a student-run conference with a purpose of providing a safe space for female and non-binary attendees to learn more about becoming a leader in technology. But now it has turned into a movement. As we continue to grow internationally and a, on the world stage, we hope to empower our attendees to learn more. Now, we continue to grow not only as a conference, and we host this conference annually to empower students to aim for the stars, make waves of change, ignite their flame, and now go beyond the blueprint.
Absolutely, Dia. I couldn't be more excited to be here supporting that mission. Hi, everyone. My name is Lasya Manikonda, and I'm the other co-director this year. I'm an incoming freshman at Stanford University studying computer science this fall. Throughout the past 8 years, we've brought together over 5,000 passionate attendees and dedicated team members to make a difference in the next generation of female leaders in tech. Our first conference in 2018 was held at Northwestern University, where we welcomed 200 attendees, and our second in 2019 was held at Google and had 250 attendees. In 2020, like many others, we went virtual, redesigning our conference to no longer just be Chicago-based, but available internationally. We were delighted to unite over 700 students. In 2021, we had 900 plus attendees from 25 plus countries, and in 2022, we expanded further to utilize a hybrid model that incorporates both online and in-person aspects. In 2023, we continued this hybrid model with a successful in-person and virtual conference, along with hosting our first ever CME plus Google Innovation Challenge and first ever GirlCon chapter conference, GirlCon Texas. In 2024, we used our hybrid model again, welcoming 600 plus attendees, where we hosted our second CME plus Google Innovation Challenge and our second GirlCon chapter conference, GirlCon India. Just in the last year, we have gone even further. We've expanded across continents to Taiwan, India, Costa Rica, Macedonia, and last year we hosted over 300 attendees with our hybrid model and at University of Illinois at Chicago. What makes GirlCon so magical is truly the people. So make sure to join tomorrow's lunch networking session and meet some new friends in the sessions you attend. Our community is better with you here, sharing your voice with us.
Now we have some remarks and just some notes for our virtual conference from the rest of our team.
Everyone, and welcome to GirlCon Digital 2026. My name is Kyla Guru, pronouns she, her, and I'm one of the co-founders of GirlCon. It is my honor to officially welcome you to our 9th annual GirlCon conference. By being a part of this conference, you're joining our ever-growing community of over 5,000 GirlCon attendees from across the years of GirlCon and across the world. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for being here.
Hey everyone, my name is Kritika and I'm a rising senior at Stevenson High School. We want to take a second to recognize the amazing groups and individuals that make GirlCon possible. GirlCon truly would not be what it is without the incredible sponsors and companies that have supported our growth over the past few years. This year in specific, we were able to raise over $14,000 to make sure that GirlCon 2026 was possible. Moreover, we would not be here today without the GirlCon core team, who has worked tirelessly over the past year to ideate, plan, and execute each and every part of the conference that we see today. We have truly turned a dream into a reality with GirlCon 2026, and we're so excited to move into this weekend and see all of our hard work come to life with each and every moment of inspiration. To the entire team, our core team, our national team, our ambassadors, and our board, thank you, thank you, thank you for carrying this mission on. You inspire each and every one of us to dream bigger every year.
The impact we have made has truly been amazing. Hello everyone, my name is Vivian and I will be a junior at DePaul College Prep. As you are going through your week, we encourage you to think about GirlCon as your stepping stone in your path to whatever's next. Whether that be a newfound passion that you discovered through a breakout session, a mentor who is now a part of your network, or friends and connections that will last a lifetime, we encourage you to do at least one thing outside of your comfort zone. You might just find that what lies beyond uncertainty and fear is boundless growth and discovery. Join us this week to become empowered by tech and connected to other passionate young leaders. Participate in your sessions, thank the presenters and team joining, post on social media to spread our message, and most importantly, stay inspired. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you for joining us this week. We cannot wait to feel your energy and watch you go #Beyond the Blueprint.
Hi everyone, I'm Aisha, an incoming freshman at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, studying material science and engineering. This year, GirlCon has chosen to place emphasis on empowering ourselves to go beyond the typical stereotypes or plans set for us. To kick off GirlCon 2026, we encourage you to take part in our #Beyond the Blueprint social media challenge and share someone who motivates you to break boundaries. We can't wait for another amazing year at GirlCon.
Hi everyone, my name is Nisha and I'm an incoming freshman at Cornell University studying computer science. As Lasia mentioned earlier, each year is a huge milestone for GirlCon. Our conference has grown from around 200 attendees in the Chicagoland area to over 1,000 attendees from over 35 different countries. What matters to us isn't just the numbers, but that they're a representation of the impact that GirlCon has had across the globe. We are truly grateful to each and every one of you for signing up and taking time out of your summer to spend it with us.
At the same time, we want to give a huge thank you to all of our wonderful breakout and professional development leaders. Hi everyone, my name is Sophia and I will be a freshman at Columbia studying computer science in the fall. This conference truly would not be able to function without any of you. And as a past attendee at many of our sessions, you inspire each and every one of us to reach higher and make a difference in this world. We can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here with us.
Nisha. Hi everyone, my name is Anushka and I'm a rising senior at Waubonsie Valley High School. This year, we had the unique opportunity of hosting a hybrid conference with sessions happening both virtually and in person. In order to make sure that this week is as inspiring and impactful as possible, we highly encourage you all to please keep your camera on if you are comfortable. Please note that several of the sessions will be recorded while the presenter is speaking and posted as unlisted for only GirlCon registrants to view afterwards. Additionally, please use the chat features as much as possible to introduce your name, pronouns, where you are from, but also to react with emojis to content and ask as many questions as you can. Be sure to use these sessions at GirlCon as a chance to learn and grow.
Hey everyone, my name is Allison and I'm a rising senior at the Illinois Math and Science Academy. We are so glad you made it to this opening ceremony and got the calendar invite, as this is how you'll join all of your sessions. The attendee-only document can be found in an email sent from Eventbrite. Using this, you can access all links to sessions. All of the breakout sessions today will happen on Zoom, and keynotes and large sessions like this one will be Zoom webinars. If you have any questions throughout the conference, feel free to email us or DM us on any of our social media platforms. Thank you again for being here today.
Thanks, Allison. My name is Sanvika, and I'm a rising junior at Stevenson High School. I'd like to start off by thanking all of GirlCon's 2026 sponsors for all of their support, not only in the past, but especially this year. Now, here's a slide featuring all of our amazing sponsors. I'm so grateful to have been a part of GirlCon's core team this year and work hand in hand with these amazing companies. Thank you so much to RSM Headquarters, CME Group, The Network, Stanford Pupper Project, Society of Women Engineers, ISACA, All Rise Legal Counsel, and all of our fantastic donors from the GirlCon United Ticket Raffle. Additionally, thank you so much to our fiscal sponsor, Bits and Bytes Cybersecurity Education. This conference could not have been possible without you, and we truly look forward to seeing how this partnership progresses in the next few years. Now, here's a quick message from all of GirlCon's 2026 goals and partner sponsors.
Thank you for those wonderful messages from our sponsors. Hi everyone, I'm Zara and I'm going to be studying computer engineering at the University of Wisconsin-Madison this fall. Before we kick off GirlCon 2026, and we are so excited, here are a few final reminders. Don't forget that if you ever have any questions, you can always email us at team@girlcon.org or DM us on Instagram at girlcontech. Remember, always have fun. Don't forget that. If any of you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we hope all of you have a really good learning experience and grow a lot today. Enjoy!
Wait, Thea, I think you're on mute.
Okay, great. So, with that being said, we are so excited to start and welcome you to GirlCon 2026 first keynote speaker. Please join me in welcoming Akshaya Dinesh. Akshaya is a founder and self-taught engineer obsessed with using tech to improve people's lives. A Stanford CS dropout and serial entrepreneur, she founded Nova, a Gen Z professional community acquired by Handshake and Spellbound, an interactive email platform acquired by Substack, where she went on to serve as a product manager for the consumer app. Beyond founding companies, Akshaya is an angel investor in 30 plus startups, both personally and Akshaya is an angel investor in 30 plus startups, both personally and as a scout for leading VC firms, including a 16Z, Khosla, and BCV. So now I will hand it off to Akshaya.
Hello. Okay, can you guys hear me? I hope you can. All right, well, type in the chat if you can't. But yeah, I'm so excited to be here. I feel like it was just yesterday that I was still in high school and I was friends with Kyla and heard about GirlCon. I was like a fan from a distance. So it's so cool that it's still around here 8 years later and there's still such an awesome community around GirlCon. So I'm very excited for you guys to be a part of it. You're very lucky and privileged to have this community. Many people don't. And so definitely cherish it and get to know as many people as possible in the community because it'll be lifelong friends. I'm still friends with many of the people that I met through a lot of the online communities that I was a part of in high school. And just like cherish the people that you're meeting now because they might be your friends for life. So yeah, I can probably start with like a little bit of just a background about myself and I'll go into a little bit more detail. I think my bio is pretty high level. So yeah, like I said, I'll start from the very beginning. I grew up in New Jersey and was just very excited about learning how to code when I was pretty young at like maybe 13 or 14. I accidentally kind of stumbled upon technology and taught myself how to code in Java, which like is outdated now and super ancient. Like, don't learn Java; it's not useful. From then, I became very obsessed with hackathons, and hackathons are actually kind of how I got my first, foray into how to build stuff, and was just obsessed from that. And I think hackathons are such a fun experience to like go somewhere and you have one weekend, you have maybe 24 hours, sometimes 36 hours, and you have to build something from scratch. And I think now with AI, that has gotten so much easier. Like you can probably build something from scratch in like 5 or 10 minutes and have it be working and have a visible prototype. But back then, it was sort of just like a really, painful, slow experience of like sitting there, reading the documentation, Googling things, asking people for advice, trying to figure out how to like fix your bugs and actually get your code to work properly. But it was really fun. And by the end of every weekend that I would go to a hackathon, I would have a real prototype of something that I worked on that I could demo and present, and it maybe had some use in the world. So that was just super duper exciting to me. The fact that I could, using technology, I could have an idea and that idea could become reality in less than a couple of days. So from then, I went on to continue just going to a bunch of hackathons. And I was also a part of a lot of communities like GirlCon in high school that thankfully, really helped inspire me to continue and go on to study computer science in school. And so I went to Stanford, like they mentioned, and studied computer science there for a little while. And it's an amazing place to study the fundamentals of CS. But for me, I think I felt a little bit like it was confusing for me because like going to hackathons and building all these really fun products and then studying CS in school, I was kind of seeing a disconnect where a bunch of people were going on to get engineering jobs at big tech companies. And back then it was a lot of like working at Microsoft or Facebook or Google or all these really big tech companies with like tens of thousands of employees. I ended up trying to do some internships, and I did do a couple of internships at some of those bigger companies as a software engineer, and just quickly realized like, okay, being a software engineer at a place where there's tens of thousands of other people, you're not really getting to work on as big of a project. And so I became kind of caught the entrepreneurship bug and got really excited about building my own thing. And that felt a lot more similar to like the very exciting, thrilling kind of like hackathon experiences I had in high school. So I ended up dropping out of Stanford in my sophomore year, which I definitely don't recommend for everyone. I think school is such an amazing time. And if you can kind of like, get the most out of that experience, like please do. Definitely there's parts of me that regret not finishing school. But anyways, I ended up dropping out to start my first company. And that company was called Ladder, rebranded to Nova. We were basically a professional community platform for early career talent. And it was coming from a perspective of, seeing a lot of my friends in school struggle to find internships or to get jobs after graduating, especially during the early parts of the pandemic where a lot of companies were pausing hiring or just generally in lots of chaos. And so we ended up building a product that could solve that problem and help connecting people to opportunities and resources, as well as kind of in a seamless online platform, and kind of learned all of the lessons about entrepreneurship. So from, before that, where I was kind of just like building stuff for fun as a prototype and never really launching it, never really getting people to use what I was building, this was my first time where I actually had all of a sudden like thousands of people were signing up for my product and trying to actually use it. And I learned so much out of that experience, that like building stuff people actually want to use is way harder than just building stuff for a hackathon or for a competition or for fun for yourself. And so I would definitely recommend, if you are building something right now for fun, go launch it. Like go see if people actually want to use it, make them sign up, go learn from their experiences, because it is a completely different skill than building stuff for yourself. So that was really exciting. I ended up raising some money from venture capitalists. I ended up putting together a team for the company and kind of learned about like what it's like to even run a business. And that was also a completely different set of skills than being an engineer, and thinking about like how to hire, how to build culture, how to have values at your company, and how to get a group of people really motivated towards a mission rather than just you working on something by yourself. So that was a really, really great experience. And then after that, I became kind of obsessed with just, starting companies. So I kept doing that after that company. And that's what I've been now doing for the past few years. So after that first company, I ended up building something in the marketing technology space. And so we were basically building the ability to embed interactive elements within emails. So a completely new type of format for emails. And I just became very excited about how do we make emails more fun and more interactive and more engaging, and not just like the boring, annoying thing that you wake up to every day. And that was a really great experience as well. Kind of ran that company for about 3 years. And then after that, I ended up working at Substack as a product manager. So that's also a completely different experience altogether. I think being a product manager is very different from being an engineer in a lot of ways. And I kind of learned also about like the differences between the two different roles. And there's many different roles in technology. I think you don't really need to like pick any one specific path, for any reason other than like your absolute curiosity and excitement for it. And for me, I was like trying on different hats, and there's so many other ones. There's data science, there's designers, there's UI UX, there's researchers, there's even outside of just software, there's so many different types of engineering. There's mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, material science, so many different cool things that you can work on. And the best thing that I would say is to just follow your curiosity and see where that takes you. And for me, that's where my curiosity took me. And then more recently, I've been working on products in the AI world. I think AI is just like such an insane technology that is transforming a lot of how people work today and how they live. And so I've been doing a lot of research into that and trying to figure out how we can use AI to actually help people rather than, maybe potentially make things worse. So yeah, recently I've been really excited about a product that I'm building around using AI to actually help people with their health conditions. So people who have chronic health issues, helping them get to the root cause of why they're feeling bad and actually helping them recover and find relief from their symptoms. So yeah, that's kind of the high level about me. I have so many other things that I can chat about, but here's what I can do is maybe I will go through, I have a list here of just like high level lessons that I've learned from the past few years in my career. And I'm still relatively new to this too. And there's so much more that I have to learn, but at least from my experience so far, I would love to share some of my lessons. And then after that, I will pause and then I will just have you guys ask questions and we can kind of have a conversation. So yeah, I'll get started with just like list of things that I feel like, if I was still in high school today, these are the things that I wish I knew. And you still have so many more years ahead of you to learn. First thing is to always be learning and to always be putting yourself in situations where you will learn the most. And I think this is definitely something as somebody who's a very ambitious person, especially when you're like 17, all you think about is like getting into college. And all you think about is like, I want to get the best grades and I want to have the best GPA and I want to get into the best college. And then after that, I want to get the best job. But one thing that I feel like I under prioritize and I wish I prioritized more is like, well, it's not actually just about the outcome. It's not just about whether you got the successful thing that you were looking for. It's also about how much were you learning in the process, and to really prioritize the learning process as almost more important than the outcome itself, because that learning that you actually you spend time doing, that is going to be with you for the rest of your life, and it's going to compound over time. And I think I underestimated that. So even when you're like in a class, either in high school or in college, and you're like, oh, this stuff is so boring and I just want to like get a grade and I want to like move on, really pause and think about like, am I learning the most that I can be learning from this situation? And if you are, then that's amazing. And that's almost more important than the grade that you get at the end of it. So really be prioritizing learning in every single opportunity, even if it's like meeting somebody new. Is there something you can learn from that conversation or from their experience? Or if it's, doing online like self-education, like just be maximizing learning and you're always going to end up fine at the end of it. And even with learning, there's sort of like more nuance to that as well. One thing I've kind of learned is like, as you go through the course of your career and your life, you will probably need depth and breadth in your learning. And for me, I think I have kind of bounced back and forth between this. And at the end of the day, I think I ended up more prioritizing breadth. And by the way, to define what those two words mean, depth basically means how deeply knowledgeable are you in one very specific topic? And breadth basically means how many topics are you sort of somewhat knowledgeable in? Like, do you know a lot about a lot of things, or do you know a lot about only one thing? And I think this is like advice that sometimes you get even in the college admissions process, is like sometimes college admissions officers will say that we're looking for somebody who has a spike, but is also really good at a lot of things. And so that basically means like find that one thing that you're really, really excited about learning, or you're really curious about, or for some reason, it keeps you awake at night and you just keep thinking about it. Find that one thing and then spend a lot of time going really deep and becoming like the absolute best expert you can be on that one topic. And that will make you so valuable in the future. And then just keep pulling on that thread, but at the same time, also learn about other things. And I think that's one thing that I wish I had done more of, is like, I was always so curious about the new next cool thing in my life. And I was not really spending as much time figuring out what is that one specific thing that I should be spending like the majority of my time learning the most about. And I think that's one way to think about it. Yeah. And then I think the other thing is, like I said, make lots of friends. Your network is so valuable. And the crazier part is like, even people that I've met like 10 years ago when I was like a sophomore in high school, I'm still running into those people day to day. And, even people here at GirlCon, like if you can, try to meet each other and try to become friends with each other now. And it'll be so much more helpful for you as you go through, getting into colleges or doing internships, or then eventually getting jobs, or, starting your own businesses, or whatever that it is that you end up doing. Like, this community is going to be the community that has your back and is going to be able to help you in any different situation, whether it's getting a referral for a job offer, or it's, getting advice in a situation that they might have already been in, or maybe it's just like you need a shoulder to cry on. Having these kind of girl best friends is so important. And I would definitely recommend starting as soon as possible and just like meeting people and just making friends. And it hopefully should be really fun too. And then the other thing is, it's very challenging to do this when you're in high school, but just know that like life is really, really long, and the decisions you make now, although it feels really stressful and you feel like, oh my gosh, like I need to figure all this stuff out right now, like life is just so long, so much longer than you think it is now. And so one, that means no need to put so much pressure on yourself, just like, enjoy your life right now and just like enjoy learning things. But at the same time, because life is so long, also try to think about like, who's the person that you want to be 5 years from now or 10 years from now, and how can you make sure that the things you're doing now still fit in that long-term goal. And if they do, then that's awesome. And if they don't, just like, have that be a piece of information in how you make decisions. And the very last thing I will say is to always maintain your technical skills and keep them as sharp as possible. And this is getting harder and harder right now because technology is moving so quickly, and there's like a new technology breakthrough happening, it feels like, every other day. But as much as you can keep your engineering skills very, very sharp, even if you're not necessarily going to be doing an engineering role for the rest of your life, and maybe you want to move into more of a business role or a leadership role, it doesn't matter. Technology is so important. And having those engineering skills be sharp will always be a huge leg up for you. And as people kind of like, have debates with you about how things work, or if you ever need to jump into a product and have a hands-on approach to solving problems, your ability to actually build things and be really technical is just going to be such a powerful skill, and for being at the cutting edge and being, as relevant as possible. So that's the one thing I will say, is to like never let those skills go and to always keep them sharp in the future. Cool. Well, that's kind of all I have. I will pause there and I'll see if you guys have any questions.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, inspiring talk. I feel like it's so nice to hear from somebody who, went through the process of entrepreneurship and just so relevant in today's world of AI and technology. So I guess we can open up the Q&A so everyone can drop their questions in the chat. And as those start coming in, we can start with some questions that we have. So our first question is, what is some advice that you would give to, your younger self, whether that's like about to go into college or, maybe just starting your journey in technology?
Yeah, well, I kind of already went through a bunch of them. So I'd say that's probably the main thing, is like, be social, meet as many people as possible, make as many friends as possible. At the same time, explore your curiosities and don't put so much pressure on yourself. I think like there's a lot of us that have this voice in our head, especially as young women, where we're sort of obsessed with like being perfect. And, I think a lot of times that can just like end up us feeling bad about ourselves if we don't get the perfect grade or the perfect, whatever outcome of whatever thing we were aspiring to do. And instead, like, just be kind to yourself and do things for fun and do things because you enjoy them while you're working towards a goal. So it's kind of like, enjoy the journey, enjoy the learning process. That's kind of all I will say.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you kind of went through this now, but if you have anything else to add, what relevant skills do you think are important to have in high school? And are there any soft or hard skills that you think are important to build upon at this time for all of us?
Absolutely. So one of the things I think is really great about high school, I mean, I don't know what kind of high school you guys are going to, but my high school honestly was not super challenging to keep up with school and classes and stuff. So I had a great amount of free time. And this is kind of the only time in your life where you're going to have time to just be alone at home and nobody's going to bother you. You don't have any boss, or you don't have any like, crazy deadlines or things to respond to. I mean, obviously you might have like schoolwork and clubs, and maybe you have college applications, but largely after school, you're completely in charge of your time and you can decide what to do with it. So the main thing I would do is to go ahead and start building things. Like, just find your curiosities. There's so many YouTube tutorials online, and you can probably get access to mentorship pretty easily as well. Like, reach out to start cold emailing people that you admire and be like, hey, I'm building this project, can you help me with it? And people will probably help you, because at this time in your life, like, everybody wants you to succeed and they see your potential and they're willing to help you grow. So take advantage of that now, because once you're like super duper old, like, you'll be relying on your existing network, but people may not be as, like, excited to like meet a random stranger. But when you're this young, people are excited to help you and they will volunteer their time to talk to you. So do all of that in your free time if you can, if you're able to. So in terms of like, hard skills, it's like whatever engineering discipline you're excited about, whatever technology discipline you're excited about, start doing the mini version of that now, just for fun, just to see how it works and to figure out, like, is this even something I enjoy? Is this something I think I can be good at? Am I, learning things that I think are going to help me in the future? So whether that's like a research project, or, maybe like running a science experiment at home, or just like self-learning like a physics class, or maybe you're building an app, or, whatever, maybe you're doing a robotics project, whatever that might be. Just like come up with ideas and try to build them. And this is why I personally loved hackathons, is because they were this like weekend long isolated place where I can go and do that around a bunch of other people. But if you're not able to access that, you can also just do it at home with your friends or by yourself. And there's so many internet tutorials right now online. So it's really easy to do that. That's hard skills. In terms of soft skills, I'd say the main thing is just like learning how to work with other people and get to know other people and be able to be just like easygoing and making friends and being someone that you feel like can can work within a team, because that's also a lifelong skill that you'll definitely need that for life, and not just in working with a team, but also like getting mentorship, getting advice, or even being able to inspire somebody else to work with you and convince them of like whatever you're doing. Because in terms of like, if you ever want to get a job, you're going to have to go through an interview process. And even before that, you might have to convince someone to give you an interview. So learning how to present yourself in the best way possible is super duper important. So that means both like writing, like written skills, like are you going to be able to like adequately, communicate things you've worked on or, your experience to somebody else on paper, and also out loud, like in an interview process. And again, this is why like hackathons were so important for me, because every time I would go to hackathon, I would have to practice pitching whatever I built at the end of it. And there's like a huge, demo day or whatever, like demos and presentations at the end of it, at the end of every hackathon. So I just kept getting practice on like, how do I present my ideas in a way that a judge or whoever the audience is going to get really excited about what I'm building. So I would definitely practice that skill, even if it's just like at home with your like friends and family, just like practice presenting things you've worked on or about yourself, or, writing it down as well.
Yeah, so we have a question from the chat. Somebody asked, what inspires you as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's a combination of things. One is just like having ownership in my own ideas. And this is obviously like a huge privilege that I'm able to do this. But there's something really, really exciting about having an idea and being fully capable of bringing it to reality. I have to sneeze, sorry. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, so that definitely inspires me, is the ability to just like bring something from nothing into existence and have it actually do something in the world. And especially if like you're finding that like you're frustrated with how things work, or you're upset that something isn't the way you want it to be. Being an entrepreneur is a great way to just like right a wrong in the world through your own just like capabilities. And I think that's really exciting for me, at least. Yeah.
The next question we have from the chat is, how do you expose yourself to new ideas and concepts to keep learning?
I love this idea. I love this question. This is super duper important. So there are so many places to look. It really depends on what exactly you're trying to learn about. But the internet is such a fantastic place for learning if you use it properly. And I will talk about a few of the resources that I have personally used. So the first is YouTube. YouTube is insane. It has so many incredible videos and tutorials. It has people who have built projects from scratch and have recorded themselves through every step of the process. It also has lectures from pretty much every single university class that you can possibly think of. You can just take those classes for free online by just searching it up. Like if you literally just looked up Intro to Computer Science lectures, there's going to be thousands of videos on YouTube from all these different universities, from MIT to Stanford to Harvard, where they recorded the professor giving the lectures, and all you have to do is watch it to follow along. And you can just pause the lecture at any time and try to solve the problems and see if it actually works. So for any engineering discipline, I would definitely recommend looking up lectures or tutorials on YouTube and then actually try to follow along. So for me, the first place that's actually how I learned how to code was I basically looked up like, how do I make an Android app? Because I had an Android phone. I really wanted to make like an Android app. And I found the first video that was like, I don't know, probably like 40 minutes long or something. And it was like, well, it was somebody else who had recorded a tutorial of how he made his Android app. And so I just watched his video, and at every step of the video, I would pause it, and then I would go and try to build the part that he was working on in my own computer. And then at the end of it, I just click play, and if mine doesn't work, that's fine. I just watch the next few minutes and figure out what he did that I didn't do right. And then I keep learning that way. So I would definitely say it depends on your learning style. For me, I can really learn when I'm doing something. it's much harder for me to learn when I'm reading a textbook or reading a book. Like for me, I really have to be hands-on trying to do something myself to be able to learn why it's not working and how to make it better. So if that's how you learn, then just start building projects. And the easiest thing right now is to use AI. So if you can, just like go online to ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, and if you can get your parents to get you a subscription, that's fine. It's $20 a month, or there's also a free plan and many other free AI tools online. And you can just like start building a project. And as you get stuck, instead of asking AI, hey, how do I do this? Can you give me the answer? Ask AI, hey, I'm working on this project. This is where I'm at right now. I'm getting stuck. I don't know how to do the next steps. Can you give me a hint? Or can you ask me a question that I can then answer to you, and then we can figure out what to do next. So use AI as a mentor rather than as like somebody who can give you the answer to everything, and that'll also help you learn. And now there's also so many other amazing resources that also are great at learning things as well. Like there's Quizlet, there's Khan Academy, there's what else? There's Duolingo for language. There's so many apps and websites that'll help you learn different topics and concepts. So all that matters is just like you need to come up with what thing you're trying to learn. For me, it's doing through projects. So for example, one day I was like, okay, I want to learn how to do a robotics project or like a hardware project. So I came up with an idea and I was like, okay, I'm going to build a sensor that can track how long I've had the shower running for, just to track how long my showers are. And then I bought an Arduino, which is pretty affordable. And then I just like plug it into my computer and I go, okay, now what the heck do I do? I have no idea what I'm doing. And then that's where you start going to YouTube, you start Googling things, or you ask AI, you're like, hey, this is what I have so far. I need to do this. Help give me a hint. And then it will help you get started. So that is my resources there. Oh, and I forgot, there's more too. The other thing is social media, blogs, and newsletters. If this was for the second part of the question, which is how do you expose yourself to new ideas and concepts to keep learning? And this is part of my earlier point about like staying up to date with the latest cutting edge of technology in your industry. And to be able to do that, you need to know what's going on in the industry. So I know as a high schooler, like it feels very distant and far away. But the number one thing that was helpful for me was like going on Reddit communities and going on Twitter. I know Twitter is a really scary place sometimes, and there are a lot of like mean people on Twitter. But if you can find just the few Twitter accounts that are like scientists or professors or researchers that are really doing exceptional things in your field, I promise you they are already talking about all of the things that are the cutting edge of what they're working on their public Twitter, or maybe on their public LinkedIn, but probably Twitter, depending on the industry. And then a lot of those people also write their own newsletters, like a Substack, or just like a newsletter that you can put your email in, and you can get an email every time they have like a new set of topics that they want you to learn about. So yeah, try to find the newsletters and blogs in your field. Again, AI is an amazing place to go to find those things. If I'm, let's say, want to learn about like, the cutting edge of like biotech research, I can literally just go to Claude and say, hey, give me the top 10 Twitter accounts, subreddits, and newsletters that I should subscribe to learn about what's going on in biotech. And then it will give me a list and I can subscribe to them and I can read them.
That's such an interesting tip. Using AI, I feel like as students, there's so much stigma around using AI, especially to learn, but it's interesting to hear your take. So our next question is, what has been your favorite part of being an entrepreneur? And I think you may have touched on this earlier, but yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. What has been my favorite part? I think my favorite part has been just like seeing the impact of my products in the real world. I think when you're like at a really, really large company, you feel kind of like separated from the impact. And so as you're working on a feature, it might be months or even years before you actually see somebody using that feature in the wild, and they maybe give you feedback on it. But as someone who's building a very small startup and maybe a very small kind of like audience for my product, I can very quickly build something and then immediately get feedback from my users or my customers that's like, hey, this was really useful, or this was really not useful. And that's actually my favorite part, is just like getting to see in real time why people are actually using the thing I'm using and whether they like it or not. And for specifically recently, the product that I've been working on is AI in healthcare. And that's been really, really impactful to hear people's experiences saying like, hey, my symptoms went away after I started using your product, or I feel so much better now, or, I was able to do whatever thing I wanted to in my life and I wasn't able to before. Like, that's really helpful and really sweet to see.
And how would you advise someone who's trying to find a good balance between following those ambitions, following those dreams, and also growing as a person? Because the tech industry can be quite competitive and cutthroat at times.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Maybe I need maybe a little bit more follow-up, because ideally following your ambition should also be growing you as a person. There shouldn't be like you're following your ambition but you're not growing as a person. Hopefully you're always growing as a person by following your ambition. And if you don't feel like you're growing as a person but you're just doing something for the sake of doing something, then maybe that's actually not your ambition at all in the first place. And I agree, it can totally be competitive and cutthroat at times. So it's all about figuring out what makes you different. Like, what is the thing that you're really, really good at, and just lean into that and keep doing that and use all of the resources available to you. If somebody else has a resource available to them, like let's say, and I've definitely experienced this where life can be kind of unfair sometimes. And sometimes it feels like you have all of the cards stacked against you, and it's just harder for you to get things. So then go and find those advantages the same way somebody else would. Like, let's say maybe somebody has like, a crazy like family nepotism network, and like their parents were like the CEOs of some company, and so it was really easy for them to get a job. Okay, great. Then why don't you go email the CEOs want to get a job at in the future and go talk to them, and they will probably say yes. So it's all about like being daring and being bold and actually doing the things that you feel like you're missing, because chances are it's not as hard as you think it is. And all you had to do was try. So network is very, very helpful, especially for getting an edge in the very competitive landscape. If like everybody is like, already well networked, then you're going to be at a disadvantage. So you go and build that network, whether it's women or even men. A lot of amazing, mentors that I've had in my life are actually men, and they want to see us succeed too. So really just finding those like really kind, thoughtful mentors that you can look up to who are going to give you an edge in the future.
Yeah, I think that's amazing advice. So our next question is kind of related, but how did you manage to keep track of, the different startups, different companies that you founded and the different projects, and keep the culture and sense of a shared goal?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing is definitely finding people to join you who also care about that shared goal. And so that part is more around like hiring and creating a team, rather than about inspiring them to keep working towards that goal. But I've been very lucky that like, especially in the companies that I've worked on that have been more mission driven, I've just been very lucky to find people to work with me who also really care about that mission and aren't just doing it for money or whatever other reason. They're doing it because they also care. And that automatically makes it so much more fun to work with those people, because then you don't even have to convince them. They're already on your team. They already know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. And then second is to just keep reinforcing that mission. So whether it's like a weekly meeting or even like every other day you have a Zoom call or whatever that might be, that cadence, it's like having the opportunity to keep reinforcing this is why we're doing what we're doing, and this is why this is really important, and to even connect that back to their work. Like, hey, this feature that you helped work on for the product has made our users so happy, and these are the numbers that we're able to see, and these are the quotes, and these are the exact experiences that our users are having because of what you worked on. And people want to feel like, their work is actually creating an impact. So just making sure that you're able to keep reinforcing that for them, that, hey, this is the mission that we're working towards, and this is how your work is helping us achieve that goal. That'll keep people motivated.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good point. Kind of as we have more questions rolling from the chat, one question that we had for you was, do you ever struggle with confidence or imposter syndrome? And if so, how do you overcome it?
Oh man, I hate this question, because absolutely, yes. I think everybody, especially young women, a lot of us struggle with imposter syndrome and confidence. And I definitely struggle with it all the time. In fact, literally this past week, I've been feeling super duper down about myself. And I'm like, what am I doing? I have no idea if like the choices I made are the right choices or not. And what if I just completely messed up and like I've just been making mistakes this whole time? Who knows? But I think it's like I always, I always give this advice, which is basically like, think about the person who you probably have one person in your life who's like, they just keep winning no matter what they do. And they're so successful at everything and they don't even seem like they deserve it. It's like, what are they like? How are they so good at everything? And then try to channel that energy in yourself and channel the energy of like, you know what? I'm just going to assume that I know what I'm doing. And I'm just going to assume that I'm like the most confident version of myself and just keep channeling that energy over and over and over again when you're talking to other people and with yourself. Because the thing is, confidence is like not real. Like you don't actually need to have confidence to have confidence. You just need to convince yourself that you have it. So it's all about like developing that really positive inner voice that keeps telling yourself that, no, you can do whatever you want to do. You have what it takes. Like you are so amazing. Just keep telling yourself that and eventually it will just become true. Like seriously, it doesn't need to come from anywhere. It just needs to come from within yourself. And that I think is a really, really, really important skill to develop. Like if you can develop any skill, it's that skill. Because that is how you're going to get job offers. That is how you're going to be able to fundraise or convince people to join your team. It's showing that you believe in yourself. That's the main thing that people are looking for. So get to that point where you feel like you can actually convince yourself of that.
Yeah, that is great advice. I feel like especially with, so many new breakthroughs, so many new startups, it's hard. It's easy to feel, lost in a sea. But our next question is kind of related to entrepreneurship. If you realize that your current path isn't something that truly interests you, what's something that you should know or something that somebody should know about making that pivot and starting all over again?
Yeah, I've definitely had this experience several times, especially, when I was in college and I decided to go start a company instead of be a engineer at a company instead. It was a big pivot because I'd never done it before, and it meant that I was going to have to drop out of school and I wasn't going to graduate. And I also I was extremely, it was such a risky move. Like it could have totally just like gone really poorly. But I think it's like knowing that like the fundamental skills that you have are going to be with you no matter what career or opportunity or, vertical that you're going into. And that skill hopefully should be something transferable. So whether that skill is, hey, I'm actually really good at meeting people and talking to people and getting them to, be excited about what I'm working on. Or maybe that skill is I'm really good at learning new topics. And if you're good at learning new topics, no matter what industry you go in, you're going to be really, really successful super fast because you're just going to pick up stuff very quickly. So it's all about like, what are those fundamental things that you're going to be good at no matter what? And then really lean into those things to get started as quickly as you can. And also keep in mind, like you guys are literally in high school. You have so many years ahead of you. There are plenty of people who have pivoted careers entirely in like their 30s or 40s or even 50s, and they still end up perfectly fine. And so it's literally just thinking about the long term and realizing that like, it's really not, it's not as scary as maybe it seems. And all you have to do is commit and just go for it and try your best. And as long as you try your best and you do the best that you can do and you're enjoying the process, nothing will go wrong. You'll be perfectly fine.
Okay, that's really great advice. I think a lot of people struggle with that because, especially in high school, I think you're expected to figure out what you want to do really early. I don't think a lot of people have confidence with the field they chose. And so, yeah. So our next question has to do with how do you combat biases in our world, especially those towards women?
Yeah. Let's see. It's funny because I haven't really experienced that much in terms of bias. In fact, I think the main bias is like, so there's this psychological study that I learned about, which was basically comparing people's test results on a academic test. And they gave a set of students, and they gave a set of like underrepresented, mostly African American, low income students that previously, were already struggling in school. And they basically gave these students a test. And at the top of the test on one version of the test, they wrote, hey, this test is meant to assess and determine whether people from an African American background score lower or higher than other racial groups on this sort of academic testing. And then they gave the same set of students the same test, but they didn't have
have anything at the top. It was just like, this is a random test, just take the test and see how you do. And when they gave these two groups of people the test, the people who knew that the test was actually testing their performance based on their race, they scored lower than the exact same types of students who didn't know what the test was for. And what that should tell you is like, the more you think about the bias that the world might have against you, the worse that you are actually going to do. It's just a psychological thing. And we internalize that bias inside of ourselves. So the best thing that you can do to overcome bias is to literally pretend that bias does not exist. Because then you're going to assume that you are just as capable, that you are just as high performance and successful as everybody around you. And you're actually going to end up becoming just as successful as everyone around you. So that's my main advice, is to just like never think about the bias. There is no bias. You are awesome. And that's all you need to believe. No other belief is useful for you to believe. And if anyone is biased against you or like treats you poorly, great. Use that as motivation to prove them wrong. Use that as motivation that you're going to show them you're way better than them. That's all that matters. And never actually take it personally. Never actually think about the bias, because once you do, that's when you're going to believe that you don't have what it takes. So just ignore it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I think especially like in terms of GirlCon, we focus so much on empowering girls to, go beyond the blueprint and beyond what is expected in terms of identity, in terms of, just breaking barriers. So that is amazing to hear. So our last question is, who was your biggest role model growing up, and how have you kind of taken what you've learned from them into your own life?
Yeah. So I would say I had a couple role models. It changed over time as well. But one role model that I really admired growing up was Andrew Sutherland. He was the co-founder of Quizlet. And he just had such a similar experience to what I experienced. He basically also taught himself how to code in high school. And he actually built Quizlet when he was a sophomore in high school for his French class. And I also was taking French class as a sophomore in high school, and I was also learning how to code. And so just reading that story of like, oh my God, somebody who started in the exact same way that I did was able to go on and build such a successful company out of his project that he worked on as a high school student was a super inspiring story for me to learn about. And then to also later realize that he also went to MIT and also dropped out of college to go pursue his company as an entrepreneur was very inspiring. So I definitely borrowed a lot of lessons from his journey, and he's, several years older than me, and has kind of been through all the same things I've been through. But before me, I've definitely been following along his progress. And some of the also really awesome things that I learned about his experience are that, one, he actually ended up stepping down as CEO once they kind of like tried to take Quizlet as a more serious company, after realizing that maybe he wasn't the best person for the job and instead there were more qualified people. And one of the lessons I took there is to like be humble and know your skills and not necessarily always try to be in charge, but actually know your own passion and know your own skill set. And he knew that he would be way more passionate if he was building the actual technology side. And so he ended up becoming CTO and was way more involved on the engineering. And also just keeping in mind that like, building something for a positive mission and a positive impact is going to be way more fulfilling than doing something just for the sake of money or power or whatever. And that's also very evident. Like he could have worked on any number of other companies, but he ended up choosing to build in a space that he was very, very passionate about and created such a positive impact in the world of education. So took a lot of lessons from him.
Yeah, thank you so much, Akshaya, for coming with us today and speaking to all of our attendees. So this is being recorded, it's a live stream, and so it will be posted later because we have a ton of international attendees who obviously, because of the time difference, watch later. But thank you so much for coming, and we can't wait for our attendees to, continue watching and continue to grow from all of your advice.
Yeah, and if I can share like links to keep in touch with me, either to email me or to follow along on social media or whatever. I don't know what the best way is to share that, but I would love to share that too.
Yeah, you can send those over to us, and we will get that right after opening ceremonies to all of our attendees, so they can connect with you.
Awesome. I'm actually just going to throw in the chat as well. Cool.
Yeah.
So good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, so we are just going to go through a couple quick reminders. We hope you guys enjoyed our keynote. And now for the rest of the afternoon, make sure to catch all of our exciting Tech Plus X and tomorrow's professional development sessions that are happening. And here are the Zoom links for today, as well as the attendee background. So just whenever you join, whether it's Tech Plus X, any of the sessions today, feel free to use this background that's on the right with the QR code. And the Zoom links as well, those should all be hyperlinked, so you should be able to access all of them, and you can feel free to join whichever one you want for each session. We know people have conflicts, but that is the best thing about virtual, is you can join whichever sessions that you like, whichever interests you. And as always, we ask people to try and step out of their comfort zone, go beyond the blueprint, and try new things this year. So we highly encourage you to join as many as you can. And don't forget, this is also in your email inbox. So you can scan these QR codes and check all of this, and make sure to fill out, there will be a Google form, so make sure to fill that out as well. So we don't want to keep you guys here any longer. We know some of our sessions are starting soon. So thank you so much for joining us, and we can't wait to see you in all of our sessions and at closing ceremonies. Bye, everyone.